Welcome back to Running with Coach Tori.
And Jeff.
And we are bringing you the running news from the week and some advice today, whether it's to entertain you on your long run or give you something to talk about with your running group. We've got you covered. And we're wrapping up summer soon in the next month or so. So hopefully we'll be back on track of being much more timely and consistent, but I'm doing my best. And I don't have any training updates because the only update is we're probably not doing the races we talked about. But you're still training? Feeling good? Maybe
I am still training, being really consistent, running 2 days consecutively and then lifting 2 days consecutively. And obviously there's an overlap in there with 1 day off in between is what I'm trying to do. So yeah, but I did, based on what you said maybe a week or two ago, where you went out and ran a mile and you felt like you were running really fast and it ended up being 7:15. It inspired me to say, wow, I wonder what I could do a mile in. And I think I used actually some bad math the last time we were on. I said, oh, all I got to do is run a 75-second quarter and I get a 6-minute mile. Well, being a math major, I should have done the math on that, and that's a 5-minute mile.
And I was with you. I was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's actually a 90-second quarter. I'm like, oh, I could easily do that.
Yeah.
So I went off the track, and I did do a mile time trial at a very hard effort, and my results were not good. It sort of shows me that just going out and running like base training, like going out and running a 9-minute mile or a 9.5-minute mile over and over again, and not a mile, I'm actually going out and running 3 miles at that pace, isn't really doing much. I mean, it's probably doing a lot for my health, like you staying healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as being able to perform in a run, I don't think it's helping. It's really, I went out and ran this time trial, and it was a 7:52 mile. That is pathetic. I was embarrassed.
Well, let's not shame slow pace.
No, it was pathetic for me. All right, so again, it's all relative, right? So,
Sure.
but I was disappointed. I mean,
Yeah.
less than a year ago or a year or so ago, I could run certainly a 7-minute mile easily. I think easily. I say easily.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was basically an 8-minute mile, and I was running hard, and my heart rate was 160, I think 7 average, and for someone my age, I think the formula is 220 minus your age. That's a 157 is supposed to be my max, so I'm operating at 167. So it was a hard effort.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do over the next couple of months, I'm going to ask my former coach, Coach Tori, because she dropped me as a coach, and just get some interval type training, some speed work, and see if I can improve my mile time.
Oh, that's a fun idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to sprinkle in, I think on a prior episode, we talked about, like, if you're doing 3 or 4 runs a week, what should you do? You should certainly do a mix of long, easy, and speed work. So I'm going to work in the speed work and see if that will improve my performance. This is sort of a little bit of a scientific study on my part.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely send you some speed stuff to do for sure.
Okay, yeah, give it to me. Both treadmill, I guess I can execute any plan you have on treadmill.
Yeah.
But I like to do my speed work on a treadmill. It's just much more controlled, and I can get a much better sense to what I'm doing. I really had a hard time, like even that, as you said, I went out and did that mile, and as you sort of get this feel like, oh, I'm really running fast. It's only after the first lap I look at my watch, I did the lap thing, I'm like, oh my God, that was like a 750 or 158. How was that possible?
Yeah.
I thought it was wrong. I kept looking at it like, that can't be right. So, yeah, so I think the treadmill is much better about that. All right. Yeah. Anyway, that's my update.
Well, that's fun. I mean, like, bummer for sure, but like I totally get it because, right, that just happened to me, and I'm like, man, when you're not doing speed work, it is crazy how it just all disappears in the.
Yeah, like I said, if you're just going out for your health, it doesn't matter. You don't need to, run a 8-minute mile versus a 9-minute mile or a 7-minute mile. Um, but yeah, if you're trying to do these sort of like 5K runs or 10K runs, and you're trying to get your best time or at least your best possible time, then yeah, you certainly have to you know, regularly sprinkle in some speed work to achieve that.
For sure.
All right, shall we jump into some news?
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot we missed in the week off.
Yeah, yeah, there's a world record. In fact, your boy Mondo set
Oh,
another world record, beat his current world record. This is his 13th
so
time
crazy.
beating the world record about I think on the 12th of August. And how much did he beat it by? A centimeter. Yes, a centimeter. Which is, again, I don't know why I always do this. The guy's phenomenal, right? I mean, he broke the world record 13 times. Not once, 13 times. So even though he's going up only a little bit each time, 13 times a little bit is still a lot. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's impressive.
that's my world record update. And although Faith Kipyegon attempted the 3K world record, that is stood for over 20 years, and actually over maybe 30 years now. We can get to that in a few minutes. But anyway, she came within 1 second of the 3K world record. The world record's a little bit, fuzzy from a standpoint of it was set by a Chinese athlete um, in the doping era. So it's a suspect type world record. Anyway,
Gotcha.
so let's go to Grand Slam track or Grand
Yeah.
Slam track or Grand Scam track, however you want to refer to it as. Um, yeah, Michael Johnson did come out. And by the way, for anyone else's benefit, Michael Johnson's sort of the creator of this track league, and they had scheduled 4 events in the U.S. and Jamaica over the last 6 months, and they only did 3 of them and then canceled. And slowly it's trickled out that one of the investors had canceled or pulled their funding back. And who's not getting paid? The athletes are not getting paid, at least as of now, unless they can get another investor in. I think the last I saw, they owed the athletes about 13 million. That's a big number for a $30 million initial committed league. That's what they thought the funding would be. It really stinks is that the athletes are the last to get paid, and now the money's gone. Everyone else got the money, right? People who work there, the venues to some degree, setting this whole thing up and for the year leading up to it. But when it came time to pay the athletes, now there's no money left. So it's a shame. I think Michael Johnson, certainly, I don't think he's a scamster. I think he really believed in this league, and it just got into a situation where the funding got pulled. Now, we talked about it a prior podcast, right? The funding got pulled at the first event, like the Jamaica venue, which was back in April timeframe, and it's taken a long time for the facts to trickle out. But anyway, his most recent statement is a 26 league won't happen unless they can get the funding to pay the athletes for 25. I think that's stating the obvious. I don't know how you feel about that. It's like,
Obviously.
who's gonna believe in this if you don't pay the athletes for 25?
Yeah, you won't have anybody sign up to be a part of it.
No. And an investor, I mean, there's they've set up a network, they've got a brand, they've maybe got some interest in, by the public, but is it enough for an investor to say, I'll take on and pay the athletes for 25 so that I can have a league for 26? It really feels like this is not going to happen.
Agreed. And I'm not like a business person at all, but this just feels like all of it's just unfortunate, but like bad, right? Like no one's gonna want to get involved. No one's gonna want to be a part of it. No one's gonna want to put their money behind this because it's already shown like too many things have gone wrong. Which is such a shame because we talked about before, like how fun the one that we went to together in person was, and you'd been to the other ones and thought it was it was really great. And even before the athletes weren't getting paid, I think there was a lot of them who were saying like how, they were enjoying it and had positive things to say. So it's definitely a bummer, but yeah, I can't imagine it coming back from this. But Michael Johnson famously came back from a stroke where he, I believe, like couldn't even walk at points. So never say never, right?
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Oh no. Oh
No, I
my gosh,
didn't.
I hope I'm not totally wrong on this. Yeah, like he had a
That was a different Michael Johnson.
oh my god, can you imagine? No, I'm like pretty sure he had a stroke and yeah, like couldn't talk, couldn't walk, had to like relearn how to do everything. And I'm gonna feel like such a dummy if this is not right.
I'll try to look it up when you're talking later on,
Yeah.
so we can verify that, fact check it. Um, yeah, I was a big fan of his when he was an athlete, right? So when he was in the Olympics, I don't know, it had to be in the 80s, 90s, maybe 80s, probably. Anyway, um, so yeah, if I knew about the stroke, I've now forgotten about it. I may have had a stroke and forgotten all these
Oh,
facts
jeez.
and figures as well. So the second thing on the news front, Diamond League, which I used to poo-poo the Diamond League. It's all international stuff. We never get to see it here in the U.S. other than the Prefontaine Classic in Oregon. Um, but I'm following it more closely now that there's no Grand Slam track. But there were, the highlights. It was one this past weekend. Um, the you recall Yard Naguse, who was he was an Olympic medalist, one of the top two American runners in the U.S. obviously, but he got sort of in the trials, came in fifth in the U.S. trials for the World Championships, so he was out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another path for him to make the World Championships, and that is to win the Diamond League final. So to do that, he had to qualify for the Diamond League final, and there's a whole process. But to do that, he had to be in this past Diamond League event, which he did. He signed up for it. He had to win it. He did win it. He won the men's 1500 meters. So he's now positioned to make that finals, which is in, I think, 2 weeks or a week. And then if he wins that, that'll be a competitive race. If he can win that, then he gets a sort of a pass to the World Championships in Tokyo. So more to come on him. I'm a big fan of his. Second event was the 100 meters I want to talk about. So that one did have Noah Lyles in it. He did lose to Thompson, and Kenny Bednarik came in third.
Mm-hmm.
That was Kenny's first loss in the 100 meter this year.
Yikes.
Yeah, so Kung Fu Kenny, I don't know, man. He's just always on the cusp, but just can't get over the top. But we'll see him in the World Championships. We'll see. But Lyles looked good. He
Mm-hmm.
was certainly coming on at the end. I don't know if you saw any of that race.
No, I only saw like the
The
results.
headline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so he certainly, I mean, Thompson's known for his start. He did come out fast. He did have the lead of the entire field and held on. If it was certainly another 10 meters longer, Lyles probably had him. So Lyles usually has pretty good closing speed. So we'll see. I mean, Lyles felt good about it. At least it seemed like he felt good about it. It was a good time. So we'll see how they play out in the World Championships. In the women's 1500 meters, so Gudaf Sagai, I think we talked about her. She's the one who in one of the prior events went out and passed the Pacers. Like when it just went out with like a crazy first lap, passed the Pacers, and then held on to win. She did something similar. She didn't pass the Pacers this time, but she was so far out in front of the women's field, and she did win the event. She did set one of like a meet record. So I'm becoming a fan of Gudaf Sagai. I mean, Faith Kipyegon was not in this event. She was in the 3,000 meters, which I mentioned a few minutes ago. She was trying to break that world record. Um, that record goes back to 1993. So
Oh wow.
you can do the math on that. That's 32 years ago or somewhere in that range. And she missed it by 1 second, or just less than 1 second. So
Man.
Good effort, but we'll see what happens. That's it for the Diamond League for me, unless you had something else in the Diamond League.
No, yeah, no, I've been not keeping up with much. So, but I just knew that there was meets. So,
Yeah, the only thing I should have mentioned maybe Shakira Richardson. She did run, didn't run well.
yes, that's
Didn't
right.
like, yeah, didn't look good. Even when they showed like the view from behind, maybe she always runs this way, but she was the only one in the race that sort of really swings back and forth. And maybe that's just a running style, but it didn't look very efficient. And maybe because it didn't look, maybe because the results weren't really good. You're looking for something that maybe is part of the problem, but she didn't look good. She was probably sixth place in the finals. So I don't. She has the bye for the World Championship, so we'll see how she does. Wish her the best.
Yeah.
Last,
Incon-
sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say like this is the inconsistencies we've seen with her in the past, kind of coming back up. It seems like.
Yeah, although it seems to be, it's almost becoming consistently poor performances. Unfortunately,
Right.
if she can bounce back and come up maybe with a huge performance in the worlds, then yeah, we can start pointing back to inconsistency, but also then like great performances in the big meets. So because she's been pretty good in the big meets,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the inconsistency seems like it happens maybe in between. So hopefully that's something that she can pull together and get to that point. Last track and field update I had was for where is Fred Curley? Fred
Right.
Curley missed a few. I think that's three drug tests in the past year, and that results in at least a suspension. Now it's still tentative because you have an opportunity to dispute it, but he has missed these tests and this been provisionally suspended. So what's going on with Fred Curley?
Well, and we haven't seen him. He's been missing races too, right?
Yeah, he wasn't in the U.S. Championships. As you know, he had that domestic violence, or I wouldn't even call it domestic violence. That's the wrong term because it was an ex-girlfriend that he punched, allegedly.
It was just assault.
Just simple assault.
Yikes.
And then he also got arrested. I don't know 6 months before that for some altercation with a police officer.
Assault again.
Yeah, again, yeah. So I don't know, man. It feels like sometimes when maybe things just go bad, they just get really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on in his life. I mean, sometimes you just, at least I feel like these kind of anger issues, they're a result of other frustrations in your life where you can't handle certain things because your tolerance is taken up with other frustrations that you're dealing with. So don't know what's going on in his life. I hate to see him go through like a bad patch. Maybe like Shakira Richardson, right? It's she doesn't certainly have the same track record as he's got, but I always feel like that's a sign that there's other frustrations you're dealing with that um, aren't able then to tolerate little frustrations that you shouldn't result in you throwing headphones at your boyfriend or pushing him or anything else like that. So,
Right. Yeah,
so
and if
for
you did you see Sprint, the Netflix running documentary?
I did not.
Oh, I mean, it's like it was entertaining. But Fred Curley's in that, and that was obviously a couple years ago when they filmed. But even then, like, he definitely didn't come off, I don't think, like great or like even like his head's in a great space. You know what I mean? Like he definitely had like a chip on his shoulder and it didn't seem like in like a motivating way. It was more just like, oh, Fred's having a bad time. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we see this with other athletes, right? We talked about Tariq Hill, Antonio Brown is another, receiver that sort of had well documented just inability to sort of stay in a set structure and work with the group without causing some kind of disruption, whether it be during the games itself or whether it's off the field, and so anyway, I feel bad for the people who have to deal with it and people who are maybe just dealing with it themselves. So anyway, Fred Curley, more to come on this one. By the way, his attorney said, just for clear the record up, um, he's going to contest these allegations that he's violated the anti-doping rules related to these whereabouts failures. He strongly believes that at least one of the tests wasn't his fault, that he wasn't negligent, or because the doping control officer did not do what was reasonable under the circumstances to locate him at his designated location. So, not Fred's fault.
Hmm.
The testing agent didn't try hard enough to find him wherever he was supposed to be. Not Fred Curley's fault for not being available. It's, so anytime someone writes us a comment that they believe this, and I don't know, I feel like it's certainly against attorney written. Nothing against attorneys, right? We have one in our family, so I'm not poo-pooing attorneys.
I'm
All right,
calling
anyway.
Alex.
Yes, I know.
Flip it.
All right, anyway, that's all I've got on the news front.
All right. Let's move into some advice. Again, if you have comments, questions, advice, you want to make sure I got my facts right on Michael Johnson's stroke, feel free to email us, marykeyrunclub@gmail.com. So yeah, let's see here. We got a couple. Some of them are just like not good, so sorry, we will skip those. All right. Every time, and we kind of actually were talking about this in the beginning a little bit with your time trial. Every time I run a race now, people ask me if I'm going to get a new PR. How do I stop the pressure from killing my love for running? Thoughts?
Let's see. By the way, I could just confirm, Michael Johnson, you had your facts correct, as you always do. Even though I'm certainly doubting it for a second in my own mind. I certainly should have remembered that, but yes, he is famously, in some circles, known for having a stroke and recovering from that. So let's confirm that one first. Yeah, I think I like the idea of chasing a PR. Now, again, there's going to be limits, right? You're going to achieve something that you can't continue to improve forever. So I think you have to manage your own expectations of what you're capable of. But I think you should chase a little bit of your best performance. I'll just call it that way. Not necessarily, your own PR, but your own best performance for that particular day. And should it zap you? I think it should motivate you. I think you should use it as a motivation. And if people are making you question, oh, are you going to get this? And you should be disappointed that you didn't get it. I think you have to look at yourself and know that you went out there, you tried, you're doing the hard work to get there. I think you have to be satisfied with the process of trying and not solely focused on the outcome, right? Because it's impossible to lift more weights over the time period forevermore. That you're just not going to continue to get stronger. Just like your cardio is not going to continue to get better forevermore. It's just going to, at some point, you're going to get your peak performance and it's going to decline. So I do think, like I said, I repeat myself, but I think it is good to chase that a little bit, but only to bring out the best in yourself, and don't get down if you can't achieve your ultimate performance. Just be satisfied with achieving a good performance and being out there every day. That's the grind is where the satisfaction should come from. That's my advice.
For sure. I believe it was on the old podcast. Maybe just me, interviewed Gwen Jorgensen's, I think it was like sister and mother, wrote a book about her. She's the Olympic triathlete. And like her whole book, and I wish I could remember the name of the book right now, but basically talks a lot about how she was always focused on the process, not the outcome. And like, any kind of mindset coach is going to tell you that. So yeah, just like you're saying, that is, and it's hard to do, right? But I think starting with the outcome's not a bad place. So if you have a PR that you're thinking of, that will help you set goals for not only just the race, but like, how am I supposed to train? What should my speed workouts look like? How am I going to, make all those things happen? But then you really have to focus on more of all of that process. Like, am I actually committed to my training? Am I getting enough rest? Am I doing the fueling? Because that is all, that's so much more than the last 1% that is the PR. So, which is definitely a difficult mindset shift, I think, for some people. But I would have to say too, if people are asking you if you're always going to get a new PR, those are not runner people, right? Like, it's probably someone who knows nothing about running, because if they did, they would know that that's like not how. It's just like if you talk to someone, you're like, oh, I ran a 5K this weekend. They're like, oh, what, did you win? It's like, no. What do you mean? Did I win?
Yeah, what was your place? Well, I was in 3,000.
Right, exactly. Like, I don't know,
What?
but you got a medal. It's like, yeah, for participating. Welcome to participation trophy culture. So yeah, so take all that with a grain of salt. And again, as someone who cares a lot about what other people think, sometimes I also get that can be hard. But yeah, whoever's asking you this doesn't know much about running, so I would just be like, oh well, yeah, that's really not what it's about, or that's not the goal, or just lie. Who cares? This is bad
I
advice.
won.
Oh my gosh, I'm giving such bad advice today.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. I mean, it's. I mean, you take the opportunity maybe to educate them that yeah, I do this not necessarily to win the overall event. I'm not going to win it. I'm trying to just do the best I can. That there are more talented people out there. Um, so yeah, I think try to educate them. A lot of times those questions don't come from a place of hate. They come from just a lack of knowledge as to how hard it can be or where you are in your training. Like someone who trains a lot, people do maybe think that like, oh, you must be excellent. Like, no, I'm pretty probably average skill set.
I ran my 7:52 mile. Leave me alone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, oh, that's great. Like, well, in relation to a good miler, no, it's not, but that's okay. It's great for me.
Right. All right. So I'm new to running in a group, and my best friend runner talks about tempo runs, negative splits, and VO2 max. Like, I should know what she's talking about. Can you explain it in normal human words so I don't just nod along? I mean, like, obviously you could, I was going to say, just Google it. I mean,
Oh my God, you're giving terrible advice today. Should we
terrible
should,
advice.
should we do those one at a time?
So tempo runs.
You're a coach. Go ahead, give me a tempo run.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, all she's talking about really is like a speed workout, a threshold type workout. That's just like at a faster pace. I think that's all you really have to understand about tempo runs.
You just use
Right?
threshold workout. Yeah, but I got
Faster
like
run,
even
faster run
I got
workout.
yeah, because I don't always know the definition of a speed workout, tempo run, threshold run. There's a lot of terminology that I even use sometimes that I don't know that I exactly know. That there's a difference or not a difference. Is one the general category? And so, what would you consider a threshold run versus a tempo run versus like, I don't know. Like sometimes I do like marathon pace run. Like I just hear all kinds of different
Right.
terms.
Well, all of it, and this is how you could sound smart talking to your friend. You can ask her what her tempo pace is, because all of these things are based on your current capacity and what you're working on. So this is how those paces are going to be determined. So yeah, you can be like, oh, well, what is your tempo pace next time she's talking about a tempo run? Because then you're acknowledging that that is a pace based metric. Negative splits.
Negative split. That one I can't answer.
Oh no.
I can.
Oh, I thought you
CAN.
said you can. I was like, wait, what?
No, I can't answer. I mean, I don't know if it's the only definition, but typically it's the second half of the race or run being faster than the first half. That's the negative. It's faster, and that's considered a negative split.
Correct. And people do get really hung up on this. I don't feel like so much, because also depending on how you're getting your negative split, if it's just like you're warming up your first mile and then you're kind of like getting into a good pace, like that makes sense for an easy run. If the goal is to do a negative split and that's like prescribed in your workout, great. But if you're just like out for your 30-minute run and you sprint the last thing, like and that wasn't what you're supposed to do. It's probably not like, oh, well, I got a negative split. Yeah, but that wasn't helpful to you. So just a thought. And then VO2 max, I feel like you can just like understand that as how fit you are.
Yeah, how good your body is at using oxygen to fuel for energy.
Right. Like
Yeah,
efficiency
yeah,
and energy uptake or whatever.
yeah. I do track my VO2 max, although I'd say my watch is probably a little off. Like mine says it's 49 VO2 max, which even when I was training a lot for the last marathon that you and I did, I was at like a 52. So I know my cardio is nowhere near what it was back then. So I just think it's going to take a long time for that to come back down to where it probably really is at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because I certainly like just it's not even close to where I was, but yet 49 feels like it's a lot very close to 52. Um, so I just think it takes a while for those watches to sort of keep track and catch up over time.
For sure. And like to have really good readings on um like all the things we were talking about, like threshold and VO2 max, like labs are doing these kinds of things. Our watches can do a pretty good job. And like, even as a coach, I will ask like, what is your heart rate zones that your watch is telling you? Because I'm not going to have you go out and run this test and get all these metrics. So we have a general idea based on a lot of this information from watches, but um, yeah.
Yeah, they're not the most accurate. It's like scales, right? When you jump on those scales, it says your body fat's 6% or 10% or 20%.
Right.
Like those things are just, they're probably good indicators of if you keep using that same scale over time, you're at least getting a consistent measurement stick. It's probably not 100% accurate versus a caliper test. Or there's a bunch of other different ways of measuring body fat percentages. But yeah, I think if you use the same one consistently, you're at least getting the same metric and it's probably at least giving you the right indication, up or down.
Agreed. Let's do two more. All right. Every time I tell myself I'll just run 3 miles, it somehow becomes 8. Is this a runner superpower or an addiction?
Wow,
Right. Wow.
that's a great problem to have.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not just ran 3 and I ran 8. Um, I mean, I think it's probably a little bit of an addiction. We've talked about it before. I don't enjoy the aspect of running. Like it's tiring. I think it's uncomfortable, and it's certainly I look forward to stopping when I finish my distance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just me. And there are people out there that get a little bit of that adrenaline junkie, the cortisol person who just loves the pain, the thrill. Um, maybe there is a little bit of an addiction there, but I think it's a good addiction to have. I mean, I think that's as long as it doesn't disrupt your life. I mean, addiction shouldn't can be something that's positive, right? It's you're addicted to something healthy, but does addiction mean that it's gone so far that it's now become unhealthy? I don't know. Is that the definition of an addiction?
I believe there's like a negative impact.
Connotation.
Um, but I mean, yeah, like you said, what a fun problem to have. Unless, it's like, well, now I was late for work or late to pick my kids up from school because I went and ran twice what I was supposed to be running. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like maybe you set your sights on some longer distances, but also make sure, like, if you're going out for 3 miles, you're probably not bringing water. You're probably not bringing fuel. If you're going out for 8, you probably should be bringing those things. So, if you are like, maybe just plan a little better and be like, okay, maybe I will try for 6 or 7 today. Maybe I'll go for 8. Maybe make a calendar for the week to have like a plan, just because then you obviously can plan your time better, but then also make sure that you're fueling yourself. Because if you're just going out on 8-mile runs willy nilly all the time, eventually you might be breaking your body down a little bit if you're not doing it right, I would say.
It does sound like a superpower, though. So I do think I think you're right. If you're showing up late for events and important things that you should be at, then yes, it's a problem, and you should get some help. But man, I think you should start thinking about doing ultras. You're certainly not. If you can easily do 8 instead of 3, you do have a superpower, and you should be using it for good. And that would be to go out and do an ultra.
Right. No, agreed. All right, last one. Your favorite topic, dogs. Dogs and running. My dog loves running with me, but he always stops to sniff mid-interval. Do I pause my watch every time, or do I just accept that my splits will look like a roller coaster? Like there's two things here. I wouldn't be pausing my watch every time your dog's doing that, right? But like also train your dog. If your dog's going to run with you, I feel like they need to be good at it.
Yeah, although it's really hard to communicate to a dog that, sometimes dogs don't do what you want them to do. There's a
For
term
sure.
called bad dog, and they have that term for a reason.
No, for sure. I feel like I'm just referencing all these old podcasts today. Over a year ago, we had Jake from, I forget the dog training company, but talking about dog training, and we were talking specifically about running with dogs. And his biggest thing was you don't just like decide you're going to be like, oh, my dog has so much energy, I'm going to take it for a run. Like not only for the dog's like stamina and health and stuff, but like he was like, if your dog's not like good on a walk and like listens to all these cues and is focused on you, blah, 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 like do not take them for a run because this could be what's happening, or they're like darting in some direction or tripping you, all the things that bad dogs do. So yeah, I would say like if you want to keep taking your dog for a run, either don't take them on like a day that you're doing, if it's like intervals, right, where you're like actually trying to do a set speed, I would say don't take them and take them for like an easy run. But then also, as annoying as it can be, like slowing it down, trying to train them so that they're not stopping to sniff every 2 seconds. My poor dog will poop while he's running because he's used. Yeah, no, it is so annoying because now I don't know when he's pooping all the time because he doesn't stop, but he's just like, okay, we run and that's like business. And so we're run. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, he's been pooping all down the street.
Yeah, now you have to go back to clean that.
It's very annoying. And I never taught him to do that. It's just like, I think he gets in his head of like, we don't stop for stuff, like this is business, and he just
I like his commitment though.
That. Yeah, right. Right. You teach horses to do that for like in a horse show and stuff, but it's like I don't need him to like I need you to stop so I know where this pile of poop is instead of just like making a trail of poop down the street. It's so annoying. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about before, hit or miss with running with dogs, and I think it can be fun. So yeah, I wouldn't be doing the watch thing. I would not be stopping every time. But I'm also not like, I remember in high school when we would run in town and we would all stop our watches at like the traffic lights. And it's like, oh my gosh, what an annoying thing to be doing. So like, I don't stop my watch for that either. But yeah, I would say try to get your dog on board to pay more attention to the run.
Yeah, I think it's impossible. I don't know how you could, like you just said, I don't know how, it's impossible. Like if you're trying to get accurate interval times, like it almost invalidates. And again, you can do what you want, right? But it certainly, if your dog stops for a minute while you're trying to do a half-mile run, well, your heart's now recovered while you're doing that, so it's really invalidates the time anyway. So yeah, let's just relax. If you're taking your dog with you, enjoy the experience. It's great for your health. It's great for your dog's health. Don't try to accomplish a time trial of some sort because it's only going to be frustrating. So I ditched the watch in that case.
Yes, no, agreed. All right, well, that was it for now for the advice. Again, reach out to us if you have anything you would like to share. We'll be back next week with some more news, hopefully. And again, like I said, in about a month, we'll be back on track with super consistent, regularly scheduled programming. Make sure you subscribe, share all the things, and we'll catch you next week.